Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Nigro with a Chemistry Notes screencast. This is the third in my series focused on our gases and gas laws unit. This particular screencast is going to focus on the ideal gas law and do a couple practice problems with that particular gas law. If you are looking for practice problems or notes that deal with the other gas laws, like Boyle's, Charles, the Gay-Lussac law, Dalton's, those are in the second screencast. So please go check that one out if that's what you're looking for. All right, so let's start with this idea of an ideal gas. An ideal gas is defined as any gas that shows no attraction between its particles and has lots of empty space between those particles. All right, so basically it's got to follow those two tenets of the kinetic molecular theory. If that is the case, if we call that gas ideal, then we can with almost 100% certainty say that that gas will obey all the gas laws in a predictable manner. All right, so in other words, I don't need to really think about it. I just know it's going to do what Boyle's law says it should do, what Charles's law says it should do. All right. Now, ideal gas law is different from the other gas laws because it is not what I call a situational gas law. All right, you aren't going to see a before and after. All right, instead, it's going to include all four variables at once. So the formula is going to look different than what we've seen. There's no going to be V1s or T1s or P1s and P2s, no N1s. It's going to be 1P, 1V, 1T, and 1N. All right, so the formula for the gas law is P times V equals N times R times T, which we sometimes say PivNert. All right, but it depends on you. I like PivNert, but you can decide. All right, now you'll notice we recognize pressure, volume, amount, and temperature, but what is this? All right, well, R is a constant. All right, it's called the ideal gas law constant. It's very appropriately named. So the symbol is R and the value is 0.0821. All right, now it's got a big gross unit. It's a big compound unit. Looks like this. All right. And it's important that we know that unit because that in turn determines what the values for pressure, units for pressure, volume, amount, and temperature must be. All right. So the units of this variable determine the units allowed for the other variables. All right. So pressure must be in atmospheres. Volume must be in liters. Amount must be moles. And temperature must be kelvins. All right, so there's none of this. It's got to match stuff anymore. You have set requirements for your variables. If you're given a pressure in torr, you have to convert. If you're given the temperature in Celsius, you have to convert. If you're given the amount in grams, you have to convert. All right, so it's important that you recognize that you're going to have to do more conversions with these problems than what we saw with our other gas law problems. All right, now, to solve problems using the ideal gas law, you're going to do something really similar to what we did with our other gas laws. All right, you're going to ID your variables and your unknown. And then you are going to make a list. All right, now your list is going to be a little less complicated because it's just going to be P, V, N, and T. All right, you're going to check the variable units against the units of R. All right, and then if you need to, you will convert. So convert if needed. All right, once you're done, you are going to plug and chug just like last time. Whoops, come on, buddy. And you're going to use the ideal gas law formula for that. All right, and then check that your answer has units asked for in problem. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes they'll ask you to find the temperature, but it'll ask for that temperature in Celsius. So you may have to do a conversion at the end. Sometimes it'll ask you for the amount of gas, but it'll ask for it in grams. So you may have to do a conversion at the end. So just make sure that when you're done, you check your answer and that you have it in the units that have been asked for in the problem. All right, so we're going to do a couple problems together. I'm just going to write R here just so we have it handy. All right, and that's atmospheres times liters over moles times Kelvin. All right, now I do not require my students to write the ideal gas law's constant unit in their mathematics, but please make sure you check your conversions. All right, so let's see what we've got. What volume does 1.25 moles of hydrogen gas occupy if it has a pressure of 785 millimeters of mercury and a temperature of 31.2 degrees Celsius? All right, so my variable list is much easier this time, PV, N, and T. All right, so I have a pressure of 785 millimeters of mercury. All right, now I need that to be in atmospheres. All right, so for that to happen, I need to divide 785 by 760 because 1 atmosphere is 760. All right, and when I do that, I get 1.03 ATMs, and that's what I'm going to use in my problem. All right, my volume is my unknown. All right, my amount is 1.25 moles of hydrogen gas, and moles is the correct unit, so I don't need to do anything there. And then my temperature is 32.1 degrees Celsius. That I do need to convert, so I need to add 273. So I get 305.1 Kelvin. All right, so I have atmospheres, moles, and Kelvin. All right, so everything is set. All right, now we write our formula. All right, now here is where it kind of depends on you. You can rearrange the formula to solve for the unknown and then plug everything in, or you can plug your numbers in and then solve for your unknown. I tend to plug things in first, so I would do 1.03 atmospheres times V equals 1.25 moles times 0.0821, and this is where I do not make you write that unit, but remember that unit is here, and then my temperature is 305.1 Kelvin. All right, so I'm going to divide both sides by 1.03 atmospheres, do the multiplication on the other, and I find that a gas under these conditions is going to occupy 30.4 liters worth of space. All right, and that's it. All right, they're not complicated, these problems, as long as you have done your conversions before you plug everything in. Okay. All right, let's try one more. What is the mass of a sample of methane gas, CH4? It occupies 756 milliliters, has a pressure of 729 millimeters of mercury, and a temperature of 16.5 degrees Celsius. All right, so PVNT, all right, pressure 729 millimeters of mercury. All right, I know I need that in atmospheres. So if I divide 729 by 760, I get 0.960 atmospheres of pressure. All right, I have 756 milliliters, but I need liters. So I need to divide this one by 1,000. So 0.756 liters. All right, the amount is my unknown, but they want it in grams. So I just need to keep that in mind. All right, and then my temperature is 16.5 degrees Celsius. So in Kelvin, that's 289.5 Kelvin. All right, so I've done my conversions. All right, I have my formula. All right, I'm going to put my pressure value in, 0.960 atmospheres, 0.756 liters. Amount is my unknown, 0.0821 for R, 289.5 Kelvin. All right, so everything's in there. I'm going to solve for N, and I'm going to find I have 0.0305 moles of CH4, all right, which is great except the answer is asked for in grams. All right, so I need to convert this into grams of CH4. So this is a mole conversion, and I need molar mass. All right, so I'm going to set this up just like I do any mole conversion. Here's what I've been given. For my conversion factor, I'm going to put the mole of CH4 on the bottom and the grams of CH4 up top, and 1 mole of methane, if I go look at my periodic table and add everything up, is going to be 16.05 grams. My moles are going to cancel, and I'll be left with grams, and I find that I have 0.49 grams of methane under these conditions. All right, so that's an example of one where you got to be careful and make sure that you are paying attention to what unit that problem wants you to work in. Okay. All right, so as you can see, these problems are not complicated, but they are a little detail oriented. You have to be careful. So make sure you're paying attention to those units and that you conduct the algebra correctly. That's the other place where things can go wrong. All right. And that's it for the gas laws. All right. The last screencast in this series is going to focus on molar volume and then how to use molar volume with stoichiometry. All right. So come back for that one, and then we'll be all done with notes for this unit. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.